On behalf of all of us here in the Kennedy family, I'm very, very grateful to everyone who's joined us to celebrate Bobby's extraordinary campaign in 1968. It's been a wonderful way to remember him and all that he has meant to the country. It was a turbulent and challenging time in the nation's history, but also a time of immense opportunity. And we did not have the chance to see what might have been, but we still honor the great and glorious cause of his campaign and all its potential. And we especially remember the dear friends, the amazing volunteers, the unique inspiration that energized all of us so deeply, and the countless ripples of hope he sent out to people everywhere. From the day he was elected to the Senate in 1964 and even before, the possibility of a run for the White House was a frequent topic of conversation in political circles, even though he was devoted to being the best senator that he could be. It was often flattering, but an enormous burden and distraction. But Bobby could handle anything. He took it all in good humor, and I still remember a comment he made once when he acknowledged the buzz. It was at the Women's Press Club dinner in 1965, and he told the audience, "I want to assure you that I have no presidential aspirations, nor does my wife, Ethel Bird." Bobby's campaign was based on his fundamental belief that despite all the things that divide us, we each have the ability to contribute to a better society, that we can come together and help our nation live up to its highest ideals at home and in the larger world. He felt strongly that each of us can be the change we want to see in the world. He believed in the dignity of every human being, from the most neglected and impoverished farm worker to the wealthiest CEO. He detested injustice more than anyone I've ever known, and he opposed it wherever he found it. In March 1968, he announced his campaign for president in the Senate caucus room in these words: "I do not run for the presidency merely to oppose any man, but to propose new policies. I run because I'm convinced that this country is on a perilous course, and because I have such strong feelings about what must be done, and I feel I'm obliged to do all I can." Today, the Senate caucus room is just across the hall from my Senate office in Washington, and I never go into that room without thinking of Bobby and those extraordinary words. I'll also never forget the enormous crowds he drew wherever he went. I think as well of the night he learned that Dr. King had been killed, and when Bobby calmed a hurting and disbelieving crowd in Indianapolis and helped them make it through the extraordinary night of sorrow. There was also his historic, endlessly inspiring visit to Cesar Chavez at the end of Cesar's courageous 25-day hunger strike. And there was, of course, the eloquent words of George Bernard Shaw that both Jack and Bobby loved, and that Bobby used so often to end his campaign speeches that when reporters heard them, they began to run for the buses to the next stop. And some men see things as they are and say, "Why?" And I dream things that never were and say, "Why not?" Most of all, though, I think of the brilliant friends and aides like Peter Edelman and Rayford Johnson and Anna Molinsky and Dolores Huerta, and Fred Dutton, John Siegenthaler, Bill Vanden Heuvel, so many others who joined his great cause and who never lost sight of his great goals. It's hard to believe so many years have passed since Bobby's campaign. In many ways, it seems like only yesterday, because the memories are so vivid and so enduring. He showed us that politics can still be a noble pursuit. None of us who knew him, loved him, will ever forget his grit, his grace, and his greatness. Thank you all so much for being here. It means the world to all of us.